Welcome to Monday Matters. It is Monday, April 11th, and this is Monday Matters, where I offer additional insights based on my church's Sunday sermon. And then I invite you to kind of experiment with some practical applications for the week. But first, I invite you to like, share, subscribe, and then click the bell for notifications. Okay, so this week's episode is from last week's sermon, the first Sunday in April. And we were also celebrating the 28th anniversary of Pastor and People at the Mount. So we had a guest preacher. His name is Dr. D. Darrell Griffin from Chicago. And he preached from 2 Samuel chapter 9, verses 8 through 13. And the thought was Operation Lo Debar. Now, being a military veteran myself, Operation Anything means we're on a mission. And this mission is all about a rescue. See, Lo Debar was a place that the Bible says was parched and dried up. It was out of the way and a crummy place to live. You know anyone in a place like that? Maybe you have been in a place like that. A place where there's loneliness, a troubled heart. You can't see any growth or even a way out. A place of mental and spiritual imprisonment, just hopelessness. Now, I went back and I read from the beginning of this book. And let me tell you, I got so caught up in the stories that, I was in chapter 15 or 16 before I even realized it. It was like a movie. There were twists and turns and battles and conspiracies, murder and intrigue, lust and seduction. And that was all inside the family. I know. Okay, so in case you don't know, Saul was the king, and he was after David, the one after God's own heart. Well, one of Saul's sons, Jonathan, happened to be best friends with David. I know. Well, after Saul and Jonathan were both killed in a battle, David became the king. Now, normally what happened in those days, the new king would kill all the family members of the old king and take all his stuff. But David wanted to keep his promise to his friend Jonathan. So he asked one of the servants if there was anyone left in David's family that he could show kindness to. And Ziba said, there is Mephibosheth. He is in Lo Debar. Now, Mephibosheth was Jonathan's son and the king's grandson. So how in the world did this guy end up in Lo Debar? Well, what had happened was when the king's household heard about Saul and Jonathan, they all freaked out. I told you what normally happens, right? So they all feared for their lives. And the person who was caring for Mephibosheth, who happened to be 5 years old at the time, she scooped him up, but in her haste to get out of Dodge, she dropped him. Yeah. And when he fell, he injured both of his feet. And they say he never healed. He was lame from then on. Well, then the pastor talked about this poor kid living a normal life. And then, until he was 5. And the one who was supposed to care for him, to look out for him, dropped him. Right? Yeah. The systems that were in place and supposed to support us. Yes, the medical system, the education system, the financial system, they all dropped us. Now, let's get back to this guy. The man who might have even been king himself was instead living in this place called Lo Debar, hanging out on the corner, right? Waiting at the doors of the Walgreens, begging for change. He could have even been somebody's employee begging for salary and time off, in a dry relationship, begging for respect and affection. All right. Now, okay, I'm about to wrap this up, this episode, but there's one more character in the story that I want to talk about. That was Ziba. Now, Ziba was a servant of David's, and they say that he was a rich servant who had servants of his own. And David sent Ziba to Lo Debar to get Mephibosheth and bring him out of that place and into a place that was more life-giving rather than life-taking. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, you may be feeling like you are in Lo Debar. Maybe you are Mephibosheth in this story, so deep in there that you can't even see your way out. Maybe you've been there so long, you've learned to survive there, right? It's not even that bad anymore. You have become a functioning Lo Debarian. Well, the king has sent me, Ziba, to bring you out of that life-taking place and into a life-giving place. And though this story is not about me and Ziba, the pastor did point out here that he had to be willing to be uncomfortable to accomplish his mission. Operation Lo Debar meant that he had to go to this uncomfortable place for him to help someone else become free, to remind Mephibosheth of who he really was. He was royalty, for God's sake, but to him, his condition was bigger than this truth. Well, I'm here to tell you that your condition is not bigger than the truth. And the truth is, you are way more powerful and have way more potential than any condition, situation, or circumstance that you may be facing. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable to make sure that you get that message. I'm willing to be avoided, to be ghosted, to be scoffed at by 9 of you if one of you gets that message and gets the heck up out of Lo Debar. All right. Now, just hang with me for like a minute or two, because I want to leave you with something to do. And after all, that is the point of Monday Matters, right? Now, I also want to tell you that I have started a Facebook group. I'll put the link in the description below this video. Now, this group is for people who want more training and more engagement, and it's a bit more private. The intention of this group is for us to learn and help the members, each other, think bravely and act boldly, to leave the discontentment of Lo Debar behind and enter into the kingdom of prosperity and joy. So briefly, I'll tell you about 5 brave thinking tools here, but I'll do a more in-depth teaching inside of the group. Right. So brave thinking tool number 1, notice what you're noticing. Notice the dominant thoughts that you've been thinking. Are they expansive or are they contractive? Number 2, notice your longings and your discontent, right? So notice your feelings. Are you feeling like you want more of something? Are you feeling like you want less of something? Right? Don't judge them. Just notice what they are. Tool number 3, what would you love? What would you love instead? Would you love better health, more romance, more companionship, deeper connections with people or with you and you? Would you love more time to do what you want to do, go where you want to go, and have the money to support that? What would you really love to be doing with your time and your talents, right? Get paid for the thing that doesn't feel like work to you. All right, number 4, do what you can from where you are with what you have. Take the step you can take, even if it's a baby step, even if it's scheduling a time to schedule the step. And number 5. Now, number 5 is a bit more in-depth. It's called a brave thinking activation process, and it involves sourcing ideas for action steps that will empower you and move you in the direction you desire to go. Now, only action will move the needle. Yes? Only by doing a thing do we overcome the fear of doing that thing. All right, now that's it for now. But Operation Lo Debar is on and popping. So until next time, you already know it's not enough to agree with that Sunday sermon. It's what you do on Monday that matters. All right, I love you all so much. Remember, there's 2 links below, one to schedule a conversation with me, and the other is to join the group. So I'll see you there. Till next time, bye-bye.